So you've decided that you want to pay off your debt, but then now you do not know where to start. On today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you how to go about creating a plan that will allow you to tackle your debts one by one. In the previous video, we talked about how to pay off debt, like how to get out of debt quickly, and that was more so on the theoretical part. But then now we're going to look at the practical side in terms of, now that you've decided that you want to pay off debt, how do you go about it? What are the things that you need to do? What kind of plan do you need to devise in order for you to actually start working towards this, so that it's not just a plan or just a goal, but it's actually something that you're working towards so that you can be able to reach your goal. So I'm going to be taking you through some of the points that I feel like are crucial whenever you are trying to create a debt repayment plan. So the first thing that I would say that you need to do is you need to have an overview of all your debts that you want to tackle. Actually, all of your debts, even the ones that you do not want to tackle. So what you do here is you create a list. You sit down, you create a list on your notebook and say, okay, I've got this debt, I've got a loan, I've got a credit card, I've got a store account, maybe I've got a car loan, maybe I've got a home loan. You list all of them and then you say, how much do I owe in all of them? So this is something that you can find from your creditors. So you just inquire with them to find out how much do you owe. And sometimes you can find these on the apps. So if you are owing a bank a loan, you find that you can be able to find that easily. Yeah, it's important to know the exact numbers. How much do you owe as you are making that plan? So if you are sitting down this month and you're creating this plan, you want to know that as of November, how much do I owe to the bank? So that's the first thing that you want to do. A second information that you need here is how much interest rates on each and every one of them. So if you've got a credit card, how much interest rates is it? Is it 22%? Is it 21%? Is it 25%? How much interest rate are you paying per each debt? It's very important to have the information because we want to look at the debts that cost you the most and the debts that cost you the least. Because the idea here is, if you really want to start attacking the debt and really make a big impact when it comes to you progressing towards debt repayment, is you really want to focus on the debt that cost you the most. And so the reason why I say list all of your debts, even if, let's say, for instance, you've got a home loan, you've got a car loan, even if you know that you have no intentions of paying off your house, but you just want to get an idea of, okay, totally, how much do I owe? And then the second thing that you then want to do is list how much do you pay per month on each and every one of them. How much are you expected to pay per minimum? So if they say that you must be paying 1,000, you want to list that, okay, in this loan, I'm paying 1,000. In this loan, I'm paying 5,000. For this car, I'm paying 6,000. For the house, I'm paying this much. You want to have that information. So you will start with the name of the debt. How much do you owe? How much interest rate? How much do you pay per month on each and every debt? That information will allow you to see, firstly, which debt cost you the most in terms of interest rates and which debt take away from your income the most. So you want to look at those ones. And then you also want to look at the ones that you feel like, okay, these are the ones that stress you the most and you feel like you need to get out of the way. And then look at the ones that you feel like, okay, these ones, it's things that I can live with. So for me, I knew that, okay, I had a personal loan, I had credit cards, I had store accounts, and then later on, I then went and bought my house. But it's something that I bought after I had debt with my store accounts. But even then, I knew that when it comes to all of my debts, these are the ones that cost me the most in terms of interest rates. These are the ones that take the most when it comes to my disposable income. And these are the ones that I feel like I can actually make a dent and actually get rid of the quickest. And so you want to have this list, because with this list is going to help you as we continue developing this plan. The second thing that you want to do is want to review your budget. Without a budget, I do not think that you'll be able to do this, because the budget gives you an overview of your spending per month. And the reason why it's very important for you to review your budget is because you want to see how much are you spending per month and and also how much are you left with. Do you have any disposable income? Do you have 100 rands or 200 rands that is left? Do you have any money that is left after you have spent or after you've allocated all of your expenses as well as your savings? You need to look at this, as well as just look at the savings that you have. There are some savings that we have that we can say, okay, if I've got 2 personal loans, I've got a credit card, I've got store accounts, I do not think that it would be wise for you to actually be saying that you are trying to save as much as possible, because your debts are costing you more than what you're saving. And it's highly likely that wherever you are saving in stock files or wherever you're saving in the bank, and you're hardly getting any tangible interest from that. And so you having those debts is costing you more than you saving. And so you want to have an overview of your budget, because on your budget, from your budget, we are going to be doing the next point. The next thing that you want to do, now that you have an overview of your spending per month as well as your disposable income and the things that you're saving on, then it is time for us to identify places where we can cut, or if there's disposable income, we need to look at how much is that disposable income. What I think, but obviously this is not one size fit all, but my thing is, if it's possible for you to be able to get the 500 rands per month from your budget, then that is good. You want it to be at least a minimum of 500 rands, because I feel like 500 rands can make a big dent when it comes to paying off your debt. And so what you want to do here is want to look at your budget on things that you can cut. First things that I would say that you need to look into cutting is entertainment. So entertainment is one of the things that we like to have, but it's not essential. If you are drowning in debt, you having a lot of entertainment that you're paying for really serves no need, because it's just money that you're wasting that you could be channeling on other things. When you're done with most of those debts, then you can reintroduce some of those entertainment back in your life. But if you're drowning in debt and you really want to make a dent, one thing I would say is look at your entertainment. So firstly, your DSTV. I know that many households have DSTV. So if you're paying like 500 rands, 400 rands on DSTV, I would say downgrade to the cheapest option, just for you to be able to have something to watch. So first thing is downgrade. If you have data and Wi-Fi, consider just canceling one. So maybe let's say you keep your Wi-Fi and you cancel data, or you keep your data and you cancel your Wi-Fi, especially if your Wi-Fi is something that you don't even use. Let's say, for instance, in your house, you do not have a smart TV. I would say that there's no need for you to have as much Wi-Fi. You can hotspot everyone with your data if let's say your child needs to do an assessment or an assignment, whatever that they need to research. I would say look at that. So here we're looking at duplications as well. I will give an example of a duplication. Me budgeting for petrol and then budgeting for Uber. Even though for me it makes sense, and I know for me I can afford it, and I know that financially I'm in a right space whereby I feel like I can do both of those. But let's say, for instance, you are struggling with debts right now. You do not want to have such duplications whereby you are paying for petrol, but you are also budgeting for Uber. You want to choose one. But what I'm saying here is you want to find at least a minimum of 500 rands that you can say you're channeling towards a debt per month. That is very important. Without you having any additional income that you can put towards your debt, it's going to be difficult to say that you are going to have and be able to implement this plan, because this plan requires you to actually have additional money that you can put towards your debt. But I'm saying here you need a minimum of 500 rands. 500 rands is not a lot of money, but I know that it's something that you can find within your budget on the things that you are spending on, the things that we can cut. Your nails can stop. Your hair can stop for a few months, so that you can have that money that you can channel towards paying off debt. And also, I know that when we are trying to pay off debt, we do not want to get rid of a lot of things in our life. But there's a quote there's something that Erica said. I was watching this interview with Dave Ramsey, and she was saying the mistake that most people do is to think that if they want to pay off debt, then their lifestyle must remain the same, or their lifestyle must not shift whilst they're trying to pay off debt. But what you want to do is your lifestyle must shift. There must be a change in your lifestyle so that you can make way for paying off debt. And so I'm saying this, if you're a person that you know that each and every month you're doing your nails, you're doing your hair, you're doing your eyelashes, you have all of these maintenance things, you are going out and all of this stuff, if you know that you are drowning in debt and you're intentional about getting out of debt, those things have to stop. You have to eliminate those things in your life for the period that you're going to be dealing with debt. And we have to be practical with each other and just keep it plain with each other. If you say you want to pay off debt, but you're still prioritizing doing your nails, you're prioritizing doing your hair, you're prioritizing going out maybe 2 or 3 times per month, but you say you're drowning in debt, then you're not serious enough. You're not serious enough. Something has to give. Something has to change within your lifestyle so that you can make way for you to be able to pay off your debt. This is actually making sacrifices towards a better future, towards a better financial life. And if you're not willing to make those sacrifices, then you might as well stop. Like, you might as well click off this video. If you are not willing to make sacrifices so that you can be able to pay off majority of your debts, then you might as well click off this video, because it's not going to help you. You are basically wasting your time. But if you are here watching this video and you say that you want to pay off your debt and you're intentional about it, I would say, and you are willing to make sacrifices, then continue watching, because there's hope for you that you'll be able to implement this. Want to find a minimum of 500 rands. If you can cut more to a point whereby maybe it's 800 rands, 1,000, even better, because that money is going to help you. So the next thing that you then want to do here is you now that you understand how many debts you have, how much you're paying per month, how much are they costing you, how much are they taking per month for you to be able to pay for them, and that you understand that, okay, you are clear about your budget, and now you have also identified places where you can cut and free up at least a minimum of 500 rands, then what you want to do is now you need to decide which debt goes first. This is now the implementation part. This is now whereby you actually need to decide, okay, which one am I going to start tackling first? Because that's what we're going to be doing. While you're maintaining paying your debts each and every month, the minimum, you also want to be paying extra on one. Because what we're going to be doing here is each and every month, if let's say that this one debt, they say you must pay 500 rands per month, you add the 500 rands that we just found from your budget, it makes it 1,000. And this thousand is going to help you to tackle this debt much quicker than what you were going to do if you were just paying 500 rands. And so you need to identify which debt are you going to attack first. Now, there are two methods that you can choose here. There's a debt snowball, there's a debt avalanche. But for me, I just feel like those are just terms that are unnecessary. What I did when I wanted to tackle my debt is I looked at the ones that I felt like I can make a dent much quicker. Not because I felt like I needed something that will make me feel good, because when you look at debt snowball, it's all about tackling the debt, tackling the lowest debt faster, so that you feel like you are making progress, and then that will fuel you to keep going. If that's the kind of motivation that you want, then a debt snowball is that. And then there's also a debt avalanche. Debt avalanche is saying you're paying off the highest one, and then you're working you're working on your debts one by one. But most of the time when you're looking at debt avalanche, you're looking at the one that has the highest interest rates, and so you tackle that one first, and then you work your way down. So for me, I always say that look at the ones that feels good. When you look at all your debts, look at the one that you feel like, okay, this one I can pay off within 5 months. Because you don't want to start paying off debt, and maybe let's say, for instance, you've got five debts, and then you start tackling a debt that's going to take you over 12 months or over 2 years for you to deal with. You're going to get demotivated along the way. So I would say, look at the one that you feel like, okay, this one I can settle within 5 months if I add this 500 rands on it. So at least 5 to 6 or 7 months. That's what you want to be looking at. Ne? And then tackle that one first. This is going to help to free up more money, because now let's say, for instance, it's 1,000 that you're putting towards this debt. The 500 rands, the minimum, plus the 500 rands that we're adding on this debt, which makes it 1,000. Now let's say you have paid up until the 5 months, and now you're done. That's 1,000 that is freed up now that you can take and channel towards the next debt. Now let's say, for instance, the next debt you're paying 1,000 per month. Now add the 1,000. That is what you are doing here. You are rolling over the funds from one debt to another debt. And so now you are taking this 1,000, you are adding on this 1,000, making it 2,000. And chances are, if you do that, based on how much you owe, you'll be able to see when are you going to finish. So by the way, I created a debt repayment plan, which is now available on my website for you to access if you're intentional about paying off your debt. And maybe let's say, for instance, you know that you want to pay off your debts, but you do not know where to start. And so it comes with a guide that takes you through the steps that I'm talking to you guys about now, but it's just written down as a reminder that, okay, these are things that you need to follow. And then it comes with a spreadsheet that will allow you to be able to input these numbers, these amounts, and see how long it will take for you to finish each and every debt, be it that you're adding more. This is very important to have. I don't think that I would have been able to keep going when it comes to my debts if I had not sat down and actually looked at that. Okay, how long would it take for me to pay off this debt? How long would it take for me to pay off this debt? How long would it take for me to pay off this debt? How much do I need to add in order for me to fast track paying off this debt? I don't think that I would have made as much progress as I did when it comes to paying off all these debts, all these high interest debts that I have. And so I would say that it's very important to sit down and create a plan. And so if you want something that is already made, that is already made and that is more so practical and designed for just repayment of debt, I would say check out my website. The link is on my description down below. And you can purchase that you can access that. It will help you when it comes to creating a debt repayment plan. Once you have identified that, okay, this is the debts that I want to start with, and then you decide on which one is going to be the second debt, which one is going to be the third debt, which one is going to be the fourth debt, until you are done with all of the debts that you want to pay off. And so what you want to do every time whenever you are paying off debt, and this is something that I would say do not slack on, because if you slack on this, then you're going to affect the entire process. Every time you pay off debt, that entire amount, all of it, do not take and now start allocating it to other things, or maybe feeling like, okay, now that I've paid off this thing, maybe I can buy myself this, or I can do this. Like, no, that whole 1,000, if it's 1,000, however amount it was, all of it, you want to take it and roll it over to the next debt. There's no playing around here. If you're really intentional about this, there is no playing around here. We're not gonna pay off one debt and then feel like, oh, now I can take off 500 rands and use. No. If it's 1,000, you take all of that, you allocate it to the next debt. If now you are going to be paying 2,000 until you are done with this debt, that is 2,000 that's going to be freed up now that you're done with it. You take all of that 2,000, you roll it over to the next debt. Meaning, let's say, for instance, you are paying 3,000 on this debt. You take this 2,000, you add it here. It makes it 5,000 now that you're channeling on this debt until you are done with all of your debts. Now, the nice thing about this is that once you're done with all of these debts, let's say, for instance, your last debt, you were paying about 4,000, including the money that you have accumulated. So maybe let's say it's about 6,000. That now we are done paying off all of this debt. This is now 6,000 that is going to come back to you. Firstly, you were able to tackle your debts much quicker, which means that you did not pay what the banks were desiring you to pay, because what the banks want is they want you to pay the minimum so that you can service the interest. And so now that you paid off your debts much quicker, then you now have 6,000 that is coming back to you. Now you can sit down at this point. This is the nice part, where by now you can sit down and say, I've got 6,000 that I've just freed up from paying off my debt. Where am I going to save and invest this? And then you start getting into things such as saving and investing. But if you are intentional about paying off debt, I would say don't be including yourself in stokvels. Don't be including yourself in savings and what. As much as I know that it's important to save, but when you have high interest debt, that is the last thing that you should be doing, because you're just wasting your time. You are wasting your time. You want to free up your funds which are tied up in debt as quickly as possible, so that you can come back and say, okay, now that I've got 6,000 or 4,000 that is free from me paying off the debts, now where can I save? So the first thing that you will do after that is you start building your emergency fund as quickly as possible. If it means you take the entire 4,000 or entire 6,000 in order for you to build up your emergency fund per month, you do that, so that you know that, okay, I'm done with my emergency fund. And then you can move on to other things as well that enrich your life. But it all comes down to paying off your debt. If I had not dealt with my personal loan, dealt with the credit cards that I was paying for, the store accounts didn't really cost me much. It was just annoying to have, if I'm being honest. And so getting rid of them was not a hard thing. Like it's something that I just decided. And then each month I would pay off each one. Then I was done with them. And I wanted to clear them off before I bought my house. So getting rid of the store accounts was not a train smash. The problem was the personal loan, the two credit cards. But If I had not freed up that money, because on my credit cards, I was paying over 1,000 on each, and on my personal loan I was paying 2,800. That was before I went and restructured the loan, but I was already paying close to 3,000 on the personal loan. So when you accumulate all of it together, I was paying roughly 5,000 or 5,000 and more. Yeah, so I was paying roughly 5,000 per month. If I had not done that, if I had not cleared out this debt, I can tell you this, I wouldn't be able to save per month. I wouldn't be able to put money aside for my child's education fund. I wouldn't be able to put money aside for my emergency fund. I wouldn't be able to save as much as I am right now, because these debts were costing me the most. And my salary is not high. Even back then, my salary was not even that high. And so the debts, I felt like they ate away on my income the most. And so it was clear to me that I needed to get rid of them. And so I'm saying this, and I'm sharing this with you because I know the power of paying off high interest debt can do or can give you as a person that wakes up each and every day, go to work, give your all, come back and get paid and feel like all your money is taken off by debt. I know the power that can be restored back to you by actually tackling your debt. And so it's very important that you sit down, you create a clear plan. Once you've created a clear plan, execute. No playing around here. Even when you feel like, okay, you know what, it is hard. Remember the point on the previous video, we talked about your why. Always go back to your why. Always go back to your why. What I just shared with you now, the power that is restored back to you when you have freed up all of this debt. You feel like you are walking on clouds. I can tell you that. You feel like you have accomplished so much because your money feels like it's yours. Your money, you feel like your money can stretch further than what it could. And so it's very important that you tackle your debts. It's very important that you clear as much of those debts as fast as possible, because it's going to give you back the power of just having control over your money, feeling like you are not wasting your time every time you go to work, And so I just want to close off with this one. Dave Ramsey said on this interview, he said, getting into debt is easy. However, he then said, you cannot wander your way out of debt. So what did he mean here is you cannot just say, oh, I'll get out of debt. Like, it's not something you say that I'm just going to do. It's not as easy as it looks. It needs a lot of discipline. It needs a lot of commitment. It needs a lot of change. You need to be willing to change, firstly, in terms of behavior. You need to change in terms of lifestyle. You need to make sacrifices, and you need to commit towards this life. You need to commit towards getting rid of all this debt. You cannot just wander your way out of debt. You need to be intentional. You need to sit down, create a plan. Now that you have a plan, you need to then create a conducive lifestyle that allows you to execute this plan. Without you making changes in your lifestyle, without you making way to then work towards paying off this debt or implementing this plan, you might as well just call it quits, because you're not going to win. I'm just going to be frank with you. I'm not going to come and brush it off and say, oh no, so long as you've got a plan and you're committed, right? No. Something has to give, something has to change. And I've shared with you some of the things that you can look into in terms of cutting so that you can put money back towards paying off your debt. And you have to be willing to sacrifice these things. So we've gotten to the end of this video. As I said, if you want a plan that is already designed, obviously you have to sit down and input your numbers and your figures, your debts as per your life and what you're owing. But at least it's already there. It's a template that you can use. It's an Excel template. You can also use it on Google Sheets. And once you have put in all the numbers, you've figured out which debt you're starting with, which one you're following with, and how you're going to roll over the funds, you'll be able to put even the dates that you're going to be finishing each and every one of them. You can actually print it as a PDF, put it in your wardrobe, somewhere where you can see it. And every time you cross that debt, you can just cross it off. But I would say it's better to have it as an Excel, because what we do, the way that I designed it, it has how much you're supposed to be paying each and every month. So that will be your budgeted And then also remember, on your budgeted, it can even include the top up that you are willing to put in order for you to tackle your debt. And then there's actual. Each and every month when you're paying into your debt, you need to record it so that you see if you are in track, if you are on track as you have planned, because this will allow you to see if there are places whereby you are defaulting. That way you can quickly make adjustments in the following month to make sure that you stick to plan. And so if you want that plan, as I said, it's an Excel spreadsheet, but it also comes with a short guide that takes you through how to create it. Then do grab it on my website. With that being said, I'll see you on the next one. Please take care and stay safe. Bye.